Well, again, we're joined by others from the industry every time we have a panel here at the EV Reality Check booth, and now we're joined with Adam Jester. You're with Bamboo Strategy Group, so it's a pleasure to meet you. You are the CEO of Bamboo Strategy Group. You founded this bad boy. What is Bamboo Strategy Group up to? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so thanks for having me, by the way. Nice to meet both of you guys.
Yeah.
Bamboo Strategy Group is an EV consulting firm, and I've been asked many, many times, what is an EV consultant? And the answer is, we're all still kind of figuring that out, right?
Fair enough.
What we do at Bamboo Strategy Group, we do EV charging projects, we do grant administration, incentives, that sort of thing for businesses, multi-unit dwellings, commercial workplace, municipalities as well. I really like to try to focus also on EV adoption, working with dealerships, education, making sure everyone knows, knows as much as possible about the cars that they're going to be selling and things. I think we have sometimes a missed opportunity in some of the dealerships where, if we get people excited about selling these, they really can start to sell themselves, and we're leaving a lot of potential EV customers on the table. So
I would say that's true. We've had a lot of discussion today about that, about getting more people on board and engaged. I think the challenge that, again, we talk about a lot is that we've got to get them incentives. We've got to help them understand what the value is. And again, dealer side, they got to know they can close the sale and make some cash. But for the public, they have to know that they can rely on the car.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think about, what's our why? Why are we even talking about electric vehicles? Why should anybody be interested in them, right?
It's very existential. Why are we here?
What's our why? Why are we here?
Why are we here?
The thought for me is... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, I'm just saying it's a good time of the day to get very philosophical.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so the thought is, for me, what's my why? My why is, we know... All right, I'll qualify it. I believe that climate change is real.
That's not a belief thing, it's happening.
And it's an existential threat to the planet. And so we also know that greenhouse gas emissions are one of the leading contributors to climate change. And we also know that transportation accounts for 29% of all greenhouse gas emissions that contribute towards climate change. So transportation, electric vehicles, that seems like a pretty important one to try to focus on.
I have been in the automotive industry my entire career, and I love cars. I've built tons of cars. I've had a very, very exciting and fun time with cars. But also at the same time, I grew up going camping in the middle of nowhere in Idaho and got to see beautiful landscapes that's what my family did. And I always had this conflict in my mind of I love a thing for my profession that I know for a fact is decimating this other thing that I love. And I think most everybody deep down has a general understanding of that reality. It's hard to get people to get out of their, routines, things that make them feel comfortable, things that are just, I've done this forever, I don't want to change. And I think that what you just described, though, is we can have a conversation about the practicalities of what it means to go electric, whether that's transportation or even at home or whatever it might be. And we don't necessarily have to create a conversation that alienates people that don't want to have the conversation.
You're exactly right. And by the way, full disclosure, I'm an ICE vehicle guy from back in, I've built classic ICE vehicles.
First car you had, what was it?
61 Pontiac Catalina, four-door hardtop. Absolutely.
Can I?
Damn.
Let me throw my experience in, which is that I was never particularly a car guy. I had cars, but I was never a car enthusiast. And I knew in the back of my mind, worried about the climate, and that was definitely an issue. But I got into EVs when I first drove an EV, when we rented a Tesla, I think. And then suddenly I thought, oh, this is actually fun. And, it kind of appealed to my geeky, techie, kind of cutting-edge technology side. And this really that whole package, right? It was the visceral experience of driving the car. It was the techie, cutting-edge technology side. And these two things come together to do something that's good, right, for the planet, or net positive for the planet. So, I think it's similar, but coming at a slightly different perspective, which is, and I think it's important that if we're trying to make these things mass appeal, can't just be about, this is, if you don't drive an EV, you're killing the planet.
Oh no, that's exactly right. We continue to see advertising as well that comes out from even the automakers, where it's okay, please use a different focus group next time. This is not hitting the mark about how we need to message this. And to your point, a lot of the people that do love the technology, that's enough. That's oftentimes it's I want to be on the bleeding edge of what this is going to be, and I'm in, I'm game. Every little motivational factor matters, and it's not that it's universal. So I'm assuming that's a big part of what you talk about.
Yeah, so we talk about ICE vehicles. I'm like I said, I'm an ICE vehicle guy, drag race, all of those things. I still have a 55 Chevy with a fuel-injected 383 stroker in it with aluminum heads and all the fun stuff.
Oh my gosh!
So,
you sound like Marissa Tomei at the end of My Cousin Vinny.
right. I don't know how to take that, man.
She knew what she was talking about.
She did.
I don't think you sounded exactly like her. It's more so the cockroach.
I think she won the Oscar, right?
I was about to say that was an Oscar-worthy performance.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much.
The Academy's questioning you now.
Well, and the thought is, so I come from that, but I'm an EV guy now. I'm an EV consultant, and it's for the love of the game. Most of the revenue that Bamboo Strategy Group generates, quite frankly, is not having anything to do with EVs. That's a passion project of mine. It's an offshoot of our main drivers of business. I just love this EV thing, and so we're doing as much of it as we can, but we're busy with other things.
That's actually an interesting thing to bring up, though, because there's a lot of people that are, again, they have their jobs, they have their roles. With Bamboo Strategy Group, it's not necessarily that you founded this on behalf of that effort. It's that you have a personal passion and you're leveraging your expertise to create not only a business opportunity, but at the end of the day, make actual momentum happen.
You're exactly right, and it's something I enjoy doing, so that's something I try to focus on. I like to think, though, about, there's a British advertising exec named Rory Sutherland, and if you know Rory, he has this awesome video, and the gist of it is, and it's not plagiarism because I've cited it, right? So I'm just gonna steal it right now or borrow it. The idea is that, okay, let's live in this bizarro world for a second where we're all driving EVs, everybody's on EVs.
Oh, I've seen this video of him saying this. I've seen this. It's great. Go on.
And we've all been on them for a long time, and all of a sudden an engineer comes along and says, hey, you know what, I've got an idea for a new vehicle. We're gonna start with a huge 16 to 20 gallon tank of very, very flammable, sometimes explosive liquid. And we're gonna pump that into a very complex engine that's got hundreds and hundreds of moving parts in it that all need fluid and filters, and that fluid and filters all need maintenance from time to time. And we're going to engineer a series of explosions inside that engine, and that's going to move the vehicle. Unfortunately, the range of power that engine is going to be able to move the vehicle with is in a very tight range, and so we need to have this other very complicated series of things called a transmission, also fluids, also filter, all these different sorts of things. And that's kind of my thought. And so they're going, okay, well, is it going to perform? Is it going to perform better than an electric vehicle? No. Definitely not. Oh, okay. Is it quieter than an electric? Oh, just the opposite. It's
louder than hell.
Much louder. Well, is it cleaner? Oh my God, no! I didn't tell you about how it burps out greenhouse gas emissions every living second that it's running. Okay, so what's the upside on this new idea vehicle? And they said, well, that tank, you can fill it pretty quickly. But
that right there, that Cro-Magnon reptilian brain response of someone just goes, well, yeah, because that sounds convenient.
That's what I meant. So, you can fill it quickly. Oh, so obviously you could fill it at home like we do our electric vehicle. Oh, no. You have to go home. You have to go somewhere else to do that. And so that's kind of, but we went to Bizarro World, though, but everything that we just said is actually true in this world.
Right.
But for some reason, that's the argument that we continue to play from behind on a daily basis.
Well, it's also what happened at the beginning of the 20th century when they did have electric vehicles and the industry shifted entirely to ICE vehicles. So that conversation actually kind of happened. Obviously, EVs were a little bit more limited, I think, in the early 20th century than they are now. But it's kind of even crazier, right? It's crazy as a thought experiment. It's even crazy to think really that actually happened in real life.
Well, and the way that's explained, it's you laugh at it because it sounds absurd, but the challenge then is the human condition and the conditioning we've had for the public, and we're talking millions and billions of people, generational change over time. As you described, like, no, this is my first car, and this is the car I drive now. It's like we have, and especially in America. I mean, the United States, Americana is cars in so many ways.
Very much so.
And so it's like, no, my grandpa and I worked on this car when I was a kid, and then my dad and I worked on it again, There's elements that are built into our culture around that. So as much as I agree with the absurdity of the analogy, because it makes perfect sense, we have a bunch of people who are just like, yeah, but No, but we have been, like I said, we have been doing this way since the beginning of the 20th century.
Right.
So the deconditioning of people is the hardest part.
Well, and there's an infrastructure that's in place, not only from a physical infrastructure piece, but there's also this very well-funded, politically connected machine now that helps control the messaging against the viability of electric vehicles.
What on earth are you talking about?
Oh, okay, I won't mention it again.
But you bring up a very valid point, and I say this to folks all the time, is you watch Sunday Night Football, there's an ad for fossil fuels. You drive down the street, on the fuel signs on the highway, the big blue ones, multiple branding of that. You get that branding reinforced to you all the time. It's been happening for the last 50, 60, 70 years. You have t-shirts that have those brands on them. It's like, oh yeah, this is, Tim the Toolman Taylor back in the day when Home Improvement was on. It was like all about that. It's like, these are things that have been just ingrained.
Right.
And we also still subsidize it.
Absolutely.
Which is the irony of like, oh, we can't subsidize EVs. It's like, you do realize that we subsidize fossil fuels to the tune of billions a year,
Do you know
right?
what a gallon of gas would cost without the subsidy? Yeah, exactly. And that's been going on for a long time. And by the way, that nostalgia that you mentioned, I feel that. I will never get rid of that 55 Chevy. My dad and I worked on it, and built that car. I'll never get rid of it. But I'm an EV guy. So, how does that happen? The answer is, we go back to that why. It's important to continue to try to move in a direction that makes sense, not only for people, but for the planet. And I know, Randy, I promise we're going to land the plane on cost savings here. We're going to get to it.
Hey, man, we're freestyling right now. It's working. This is Electrify Expo at its best.
Yeah. So, thinking about cost. So Cox Automotive obviously released, and I was over at the test drive for the last several hours, so if somebody already covered this, feel free to redirect me. But Cox Automotive released their Q3 reporting just a couple weeks ago, and as we predicted, September was a blowout month for EVs because the EV tax credit was going away on September 30th, and so it was a blowout quarter, blowout month. September was up 20% over year over 2024, and we expected all of that. In that data, though, the average transaction price for a new vehicle, all vehicles, ICE and EV, was over $50,000 for the first time
ever.
For the first time ever. And there's a lot of drivers of that, obviously, and Cox even talked about how that's going to probably go up another 4 to 8% in the next 12 to 18 months because of the big T word, right?
Oh, is it tariff?
Yeah, you got it.
There was another T word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
We'll go with tariff.
I should have said tariff. So that's a thing. It's $50,000 for all vehicles. Is the average across all transactions that happened in September. Now, buried also in that data, it was $55,000 average cost for EVs and transaction prices. Now, what I don't think gets enough attention is that doesn't mean EVs cost $55,000. In those transactions include Rivians, which are right in front of us, which I love, by the way. But they're they're more than $50,000 on average, right? That's I'm not saying anything out of school.
We have to wait for the R2. Apparently, that may be.
R2 is
the R2 may be more in that zone.
I can't wait. I just drove the pickup, by the way, over in the demo area, and it was awesome. But Lucids and Cadillac Lyrics and things that are $80,000, $90,000, that's in that $55,000 price. What is important for people to understand, though, if you wanted to get into an EV, that $55,000 number shouldn't hold you back, because you can get into a Model 3 standard range for $34,000 and change. Even the Mach-E's have come down to about $37,900, starting for the selects. And the Bolt, 27 Bolt, Chevy Bolt's coming back out, $28,900. We're starting.
And
that,
you're
right?
talking about new car prices, right? So if you go into used cars, then it's going to be.
Oh, for the future
exactly.
numbers,
even more abundant.
And that's a huge thing too. Buying used. Both. I've owned now 2.5 EVs. The first one was a Volt, so that's PHEV. But then I had a Model 3 long range, and now I have a Mustang Mach-E GT. All of them I bought used. Obviously we have a lot of OEMs here. They don't want to hear us recommending from the stage 20 feet away that people buy used. They want people to buy new. Buying new is a great way to do it. But for if you want to dip your toe in the water, there is a great used market for EVs right now, and it's going to get even better in 26 when all of these EVs come off lease.
They're going to become more cost effective for people, and that's the truth. Is at the end of the day, and Rosemary was talking about this from Long Island Drive Electric, is that they need to know that those cars can also sell.
Right, exactly.
Is the dealers that are going to be having these on their lots on a trade-in. She commented on one thing, is that there was some Mercedes dealerships, one particular here in Long Island, that commented saying, actually, our used EVs are selling pretty effectively because At the time when they were sold originally, they were pretty pricey. But you come off that three-year lease, and the tech is still great, and the range is still great. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like,
For all of the reasons we're here, right? All of the reasons that EVs are great, you're getting them at a much discounted price, and you're getting into the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop there. I mean, we talked about in the analogy earlier about all these moving parts. It's on average about 2,000 moving parts for a nice vehicle in their drivetrain versus 20 on average for an EV. That's a lot of things that don't have the opportunity to go wrong anymore or don't need maintenance. You don't have oil changes. You're not changing fluids. You're really not doing much with the brakes on a regular basis if you keep it in one pedal driving mode, because it's a regenerative braking system and you're not actually using the physical brakes. Now, from a fueling perspective,
ooh, my favorite part.
Yeah. Randy, I told you we're going to land the plane on cost. So from a fueling perspective, actually anecdotal on the way from the airport to here today, the Uber driver, I always do, by the way, if you want to get into learning more about an EV from firsthand, next Uber or Lyft trip, select Uber Green or Uber Electric and get into an EV and just pepper them with questions because they love to talk about their EVs.
And then watch your score go down in the app because you were that one guy in the back who was like, hey, no, I got another question. It's like, actually, bro, next time I book you, I'm going to actually tell you I want it quiet.
Is that why I'm like a 3-4 now?
No,
that's
exactly.
Unfortunate.
You go in and check your score and you're like, oh, I'm the talkative one. No, but you're bringing up a very, very solid point, which is you're getting words of information from someone who's like, I do this every single day.
You're exactly
right. And
I'm
putting thousands of miles on this car every day. Do you see me concerned?
Yeah.
No.
So this gentleman, he said he drives 10 hours a day. He is a driver. I mean, he was a 5-star rating. He was 2,500 plus trips, and he said he's about 10 hours a day. I said, what did you have before this Tesla? And he said, I had a Tahoe. And so we know where that conversation's going. He said he was about $150 a day in gas in the Tahoe.
$150 a day in gasoline.
In gas. And by the way, I did the same thing.
That's like $36,000 a year in gas.
That's a fair amount.
That's crazy. Okay, go on.
So now that he's charging, and again, this is an important piece. If you can have charging at home, that's a big green flag for you on EVs. He can. He said with his home charging and destination charging, he's about $40 a day on charging in the Tesla.
That's nuts.
When that's your livelihood, that's a big deal.
Oh my God, yeah. That's money in your pocket.
Yeah, money in your pocket. But it's also, if it's not your livelihood, if it's just your daily driver, again, thinking about how much do you drive per year? How many miles do you drive per year? Can you have charging at home? Those are important factors to consider when you're thinking about having an EV. So I can say, so now that's anecdotal. He told me that on the Uber ride over here. I didn't have him on a lie detector. We didn't have spreadsheet in front of me. But I do keep a spreadsheet on all of my EV travels because I'm a big nerd.
If my dad was sitting here and I'd be like, I gotta sit and talk to Adam. I want to compare spreadsheets. So it's gonna be great.
I love a spreadsheet about a spreadsheet. So every time I plug my car in, I log it. I log the mileage and I log what the cost is and how many, so at home, I'm paying about 15 cents a kilowatt hour. In most home, I think it's probably a little bit more down here. I'm just south of Buffalo.
But your fill up on your Mach-E is going to be like $15.
Maybe.
Not even.
Maybe. If I'm going.
Yeah. If you're going from like empty to 100%. And what you're getting to is the way you're describing it, again, the passion you have for this is obviously honest. And there's a lot of people that have been in this space for a long time that have had that same level of passion. It has translated into these types of events where we finally get the product in market in a way that we can say, okay, cool, this is happening now in a way that everybody can walk in and say, this doesn't feel like someone's trying to convince me of something. I'm convinced. I just walked in. There's a lot here. But then it turns into the discussion around how do we invite people in a way that they don't feel like they have to go into the depths that we're talking about? How do we give them the ability to say, okay, but do I have to keep a spreadsheet? And it's like, no. We're super passionate about this. So to that point, and kind of rounding things out a bit, what is it you see from all that you're doing on the consulting side and the strategy side? What is it you see as you could introduce into the EV world? How do we get people to feel less intimidated by the discussion we just had?
I really think that it's. I think it's messaging. I think it's this exact conversation. The myth busting is the biggest part of what I do in these conversations. There's so much misinformation out there. There's so many headlines that don't tell the whole story. I think it's breaking those down, digging beneath those, and doing it on a stage like this.
Yeah. Well, again, Expo's about that in every single city. Again, there's 8 total total expos this year, it's always a different type of conversation. It's I get co-hosts in every city that have, as you said a lot today, you're like, anecdotally, but I'm just going to tell you that this is exactly what's happening. It matters, though. It totally matters because we don't have those in-person, real-world conversations and have events like this that provide people the ability to say, you're not selling me, you're just helping me see that another human can do this. We've got to wrap it up, but like anything we've missed right now that you think we could talk about further.
No, I'm still just going through the idea of logging a spreadsheet every time you charge.
Dude, email me a copy. I'll send it to my dad.
I shouldn't have brought the spreadsheet up.
My dad's a retired engineer and he loves Excel. It's like his favorite thing.
Well, and what it showed, I mean, the moral of that story is it showed that I'm at about 8 cents a mile in cost, blended with all of my home charging and destination charging, whereas an ICE vehicle of average gas mileage and average gas cost where I'm from would be about 16 cents a mile. So it's a double the cost.
Yeah, half the price. Well, so this is the EV Reality Check booth powered by GreenCars.com. We've been having conversations with people all day about busting the myths, having honest conversations about real-world ownership experiences that matter. Expo is here to provide that. So if you've got questions for Adam, come by. You have a chat with Adam. You can compare spreadsheets. I know there's somebody else out there who's got a spreadsheet. I know it. But moreover, this is about busting myths and having a real-world conversation about the fact that the EV boat has left the dock. Expo continues to grow, curiosity from the public continues to grow, and that's why we have this event here. But we have the Reality Check booth to have conversations like this. So Adam, Jester, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you very much.